Are you old enough to remember Shrink-A-Dinks? I am. If not, then let me introduce you to them. Hi, I'm Myra with Boutique Paint, and today we are playing with Shrink-A-Dinks. What are Shrink-A-Dinks? They're pieces of plastic, thin pieces of plastic that you put into the oven for a few minutes, and they harden and shrink up so that they're hard plastic. And they come like this. And I got this one at Michael's, but I did see them online. Amazon had them. Joann's had them online. So you can look there. This is white, and I got 10 sheets, but they also come in clear. But today I'm going to work with the white. You can also use for clear, I believe it's number 6 plastic, recycle plastic that you can cut up and use. And those come, I think, like salad containers, bunch of different things. I did want to show real quick, if you make a mistake with this, super easy. I'm using IOD ink. If you take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, it will come right off. So say that your impression isn't as nice as you want it, that's okay. You can clean them right up. So let's get to it. Basically, we're going to take one of these sheets, and we're going to decide which one of these adorable puppies we're going to do. Since I did the kitties for the sample, I thought I'd do the puppies, but it's so hard to choose because they're all so cute. I think I'll start with him. And I am using the IOD ink. Let's get these sanded up real quick first. I haven't used these yet, so I'm just going to take some 220 sandpaper and just quickly run over them. I know, can you believe it? I've had them for 2 weeks and I haven't played with them yet. It's hard to believe. It's been a busy 2 weeks. Let's just wipe those down real quick, clean them up. And I inked this up just before I started this. You don't want it too juicy, but you do want it pretty nice and inked up. It doesn't matter what side you stamp on. So we're just gonna pick a corner, make sure his hat's in there, go down, and just kind of gently make sure you got full coverage. And then you're going to lift straight up. He got a little bit funky in here. I think he'll be okay. Let's try this guy. When he shrinks down, you can see it here on the kitty. That's what happened there, where it just didn't hit quite as well as I wanted it to. But it doesn't, I don't think it deters from it. You know, animals are all different colors, and it gives it some little bit of character. Look at that face on that guy. Oop, and I got ink, as you can see, so I'm going to grab my paper towel with the rubbing alcohol. Let's see, let's go down into this corner because he's pretty big. Because these are the size they are, it makes it a nice stamp to do this, but also this is kind of big for an ornament if you were just to stamp something out and use it the way it is. So I'm just going to put, I can't tell what's happening there. Well, it's kind of a little bubble. I wonder if that's what happened on this guy. I didn't see it. Yep, straight up. Yep. Oh, that was probably from a little bit of the alcohol being on there still from cleaning it. So make sure you dry it off, and you won't have that. This guy, I think this was a whole different thing. I think I didn't push hard enough in that one spot. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to cut them out. And you can color these guys. I would just let them dry a smidge so that the ink, it won't completely set up. So you still have to be careful, but it will kind of become tacky. And you don't want to try not to touch your stamped image. You could try just stamping and then letting it sit for 24 hours and see what happens. As you know, I'm not that patient. That might set up for you. And cutting it out doesn't have to be perfect. There's a little bit of, just extra around it. And you can see by the sample that, oh, and this is where I put my thumb into the ink, right there. I just went, and you can see it. But when it's small like that, it's harder to tell. But I want you to learn from my mistakes, not from your own. I'm hoping that you will take all my warnings and try not to get ink everywhere on yourself. Smear the ink on this. Let's get that a little trimmed a little bit better. So as you can see, I'm holding it from the edges so that I won't get my fingers in there. These guys' faces are so stinking cute. If you have fingernails, you can kind of hold the edge. And if you want to, you can have a little bit thicker of an edge, and then you'll have more to hang on to. I'm going to try to get around that. It's being a little bit, come on. A little bit of a stinker trying to get that little piece off. There we go. I have a baking sheet with some parchment paper on it, or you can use tin foil. Just follow the instructions of whatever product you're using. I forgot to put a little bit of, or sand it a little bit. I think it'll be okay, but we'll find out here in a second. Always clean up your edges, although you can always cut that off if you smear a little bit. I think I'm going to put it kind of in the corner so I don't use as much of the shrink-a-dink material. And straight up. Grab my other two little puppies here. And I'm going to punch a hole in the corner. I am using a pretty good size hole punch because, of course, it's going to shrink also when you do the shrinking. So to be able to get a ribbon or a string through there, you're going to want to have it a fairly good size. So keep an eye on what size you're making. There we go. Now, what we want to do is maybe color them a little bit. So I'm going to grab my Sharpie bag here. This is still wet, the ink is. But if you let it just set a few minutes, you can go ahead and color in and you won't lose the detail of the black ink. You kind of are on this. I think I lied to you. When I did the hat, you could still see the lines that were in there. Let's see if it'll do it here. Nope, I am. You can see some of the black is still in there. And I'm probably moving it around a bit myself. But I don't think that's going to hurt anything. But if there's something where you really do want to keep good detail, you probably do want to wait and see if it will harden up more, the ink, or set up more, not harden up more. A little bit of green in here. And I don't think you have to be exact. Like I said, once it shrinks up, you're not going to notice it quite as much. So I think that's where I'm going to stop on those, guys. And I made sure I got all three of them have holes punched in them. So the oven is up to 350. And now we're going to grab these little guys and put them in on the middle rack. And what they're going to do is they're going to curl up as they're shrinking. It'll take a few minutes before this process starts, and we'll peek in at them then. All right, take a little sneak peek. See how they're curling up? Okay, we're gonna open up the oven and see, you can tell they have flattened back out. Put them up here. So they curl up, and then they, per the instructions, they say just leave them alone as they're all curled up and give them an extra 30 seconds and they will flatten back out just like these did. One thing that I did do, if they aren't completely flattened out, is I just take a hot pad and just put it on there and just kind of smush it. That way you don't burn your fingers, and it kind of just gives it, flattens it out. I really just, isn't that just sweet? I just love, she is cute. Hopefully my thing isn't blurring. You know, you get too close to the camera and it starts blurring. So this is just dollar store string. And I'm just going to cut it and then tie a knot. You could also embellish it a little bit with a bow. Because there's not much room there, I think what I would do is just tie it at the bottom of the string. So I'm going to tie it, and then I'm going to just kind of scooch it down. And I'm going to tie a bow. As far as close up, I did put red and green in here. The green is very hard to see through. Our little puppy dog here, the red came across pretty nicely also. So it just depends on how much coloring you want to do, or if you don't want to do any coloring at all. The other thing you can do is use colored ink. You can use a red ink or the green ink. The new grass ink, you could even darken it up a little bit with maybe a little bit of black to give you a more of a forest green maybe. And then that would stamp up, I think, really nicely. But that's our little project. But I think they turned out adorable. So that is our project for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions about any of the products we used, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com